Welcome to the Deucecast Extra. Sorry we were a couple seconds late there, but we were, of course, talking about this episode, this fantastic episode, and now for a special episode or whatever it's called. Very 80s, with the theming there. All the after school specials always were supposed to be very special episodes, and
Well,
this one
family
definitely
ties.
is that. I am Michael the Mailman, joined by Recast Ryfin. How are you doing, Recast Ryfin?
I'm doing great. Great to
And
see you
then
guys.
Aerospace Engineer Earl.
Call me, Monica. I'm here to help you.
Could be still a doctor.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Could be.
Yeah. That I think was a major that is not just a throwaway moment in this
No,
episode.
when they
Nope.
she says it and then they zoom in on her texting the person.
Yeah.
They want to call attention to that, obviously. Yeah.
So who do we know in the Marvel universe that is an aerospace engineer?
Well, maybe we haven't met him yet.
Yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, it's either an entirely new character or it's an old character that wasn't an aerospace engineer 5 years ago, before the snap.
I mean,
Oh,
Kinda
you
like-
guys, have y'all not heard who they think it could potentially be?
I mean,
I've heard.
I've heard that it's Reed Richards. That's what I've heard, but
Or he could even be Victor Von Doom
Yeah.
or it could be Victor Von Doom. Yeah,
before he's gone crazy.
yeah.
I guess personally, I heard rumblings about Evan Peters. I feel like I would have heard rumblings about a casting for Mr. Fantastic, but
Dude, if they don't cast John Krasinski, they've done it wrong.
they
They
need to
have.
have John Krasinski and Randall Park in a scene together, and someone say they look really
Yeah.
similar.
See, it would be kismet. That would be awesome. I mean, and then of course they'd have to cast Emily Blunt.
Yeah,
it
of
would
course.
just have to be that way.
Mr. Jacob.
Oh, Breckenridge.
Important.
Wait, Roth, are you in Colorado and not Wyoming? I'm
No,
so
he's
confused.
Wyoming. This is why
Oh.
it's so taunting for him.
Oh, it's taunting for him. Okay, dope ski gear.
Dope figure.
So, Rhett's cast it. He thinks it's going to be Chris
Chris
Evans
Evans.
as
So-
Human Torch.
I think there's a potential we see Chris Evans as Human Torch.
It's
in
not
maybe
out of the question.
in maybe Doctor Strange 2,
Yeah,
but probably not WandaVision.
wouldn't that be like the biggest troll in the world to have the rumors that Chris Evans could be coming back to the MCU and have him come back as Human Torch and
Yeah,
not Captain America?
I'd love that. That'd be
I would
great.
love it too. But good grief, that would
That would
be.
blow people's minds.
It would blow people's minds. All right, let's get into the meat of the
Let's jump
episode.
into it.
I
This
mean,
is
we are prime time in the middle of this thing now. I mean, they're in, as Darcy calls it, the hex, which I love. We spend a lot of time in the hex, but then we also spend some time, with Monica trying to and Wu and Darcy trying to figure out, how to infiltrate the hex. So, to start off the episode, though, we're kind of within the television series, and we see them having the baby problem, which we'd seen that in the preview, right? With the pacifiers and the spitting
Shooting
the
up.
pacifiers out,
And dancing with the babies and
dancing with the babies, yeah, that whole thing. And then Agnes shows up, and there is a strange moment that Agnes has.
yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, take it away, Ryfin.
Well, this is kind of a part of my theory that I've been telling you. I have a theory now that we're at the midpoint of the show where I think the show is going to go.
Yeah, do it.
And Agnes is the only townsperson so far to really break character on her own. She says,
yeah.
"Can I take it? Do you want me to take it from the top?"
Yeah,
The other townspeople have to be zapped into their characters to go out of the show
Oh,
element.
there's something different about her that makes it.
Yes, and we know that she's potentially Agatha Harkness,
Yeah.
which is a witch in the comics. So it
Right.
wouldn't surprise me, but I think there might be more to that. Maybe even a villain role for her in this show.
Oh, yeah, I think I had seen something like that too, which, I mean, Agatha Harkness, I can't remember her character that much in the comic. If she was good or bad.
Well, she trained Wanda a little bit, and she was kind of an overwatcher for her.
Mm-hmm.
But also, yeah, she's had seasons of being good and seasons of being bad, from what I understand. So it could be that she's there to sort of like watch out for Wanda.
Yeah,
in some ways.
Could be,
but probably not.
I think they're playing too much into this. She's an innocent townsperson because she's constantly trying to keep up that persona,
right,
of being a very innocent town person. And to me,
fair.
in this kind of show, it feels like they're going to pull the twist on you, if not soon.
Totally. So when she broke character in that moment, do you think that she did that to trigger Wanda a little bit then? I mean, just get her a little bit angry. I mean, why would she if she's the main villain and she's trying to control all this, why would she break character like that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd want to know the motivation of doing that, because all that does is confuse Vision also.
Well, it looked like she was pretty confused with the scene.
Right.
And Vision, I think Vision seemed like he went off script. I think that's what
Vision
happened.
is the one not playing right now. He's investigating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he totally went off of whatever script.
But when he goes off script with the other townspeople, they don't react like she did.
Yeah. Yeah. In this instance, yeah. I mean, he went so far off script because he was like, "Don't touch these kids." Basically, he was like, "Stay away from my kids. I don't want you to touch them." And she was like, "Do I need to take this from the top?"
She's like, "Wanda, what's going on here?"
Yeah. It was interesting. Is this the season of the witch? What is this? A certain?
Is that Halloween 3?
Is that Halloween 3 the song, or are you referencing a comic series? Remember, none of us actually read these comics. So.
Yeah, we're not Marvel Comics aficionados.
Yeah, maybe he's talking about a run of the Marvel Comics called Season of the Witch. I think there was one, actually. I think I remember reading about that as before the show came out.
So Agnes sprays lavender over the kids, which is kind of a weird witchy thing to do.
Yes.
And then she's going over there to get some kind of liqueur. I don't know. There's some
dark
weird
liquor.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to put the kids to sleep. That's an old, not necessarily something you would do in the 80s, but that was something that they used to do.
They would do in old time witch days, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly.
Salem days.
Salem days. There you go.
Maybe.
There's some witchy moments in this particular episode. And yeah, I mean, she just has that look about her too, that she, especially in this episode, I got like a vibe of sort of villainous a little bit more. And was her hair darker? I mean, it seemed like obviously we didn't see it when it was black and white, but her hair
definitely a different style now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A stay-at-home mom thing. She was doing essential oils. There you go.
Well, she had the 80s leggings on. I mean, she was doing the whole.
Yes.
Oh, sure. I mean,
it definitely had that look. The house was
80s.
Definitely set up like Family Ties. That was before Riffin's time, but
it was.
And honestly, I don't know if I watched that show that much. Honestly,
I thought
Family Ties.
Yeah.
This episode, I mean, I heard about Growing Pains and Family Ties from my parents when they watched it, but but they even agreed with me on this. I felt like this episode even had some Full House vibes.
It did.
Which that show started in 87.
I didn't realize that.
There's the picnic scene in the intro as well, which is kind of similar.
Yeah, that was definitely an homage to Full House. I thought Full House was totally 90s. I didn't realize it started in 87. That's interesting.
And then some people say Evan Peters is wearing the
Uncle Jesse
shirt, like the flowery shirt.
Yeah, he's definitely going to play an uncle character, and I'd be willing to bet he's a mixture of the two.
Yeah,
in the next episode.
Oh, like Uncle Jesse and
Joey.
And Joey. I see what you're saying. Yeah, because we'll get to his stuff.
Yeah, but, I didn't mean to jump ahead. Let's.
So the kids, what triggered the kids growing up right at first because didn't they grow up before we did?
Well, she sprayed that stuff on them.
Yeah, she did.
You know, so
That's a
there may
good
be
point. I
something-
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but later in the episode, Wanda kind of
tells them don't do it.
tells
Yeah.
them to not do it, like they're doing it on their own, and it's only when they're having like an emotional moment of some type. You know, the first time they grow up, before we actually do the opening Family Ties credit or whatever, I'm trying to remember what kind of triggered that, other than they were like, they had finally fallen asleep as babies, but then they come down the stairs or whatever.
Well, they come back to the crib and they look at, because I just watched it like
Okay.
right before this. They come back to the crib and go, "Where are the kids?"
Yes.
And then Agnes is over there, and all of a sudden they're like, "Mommy, Dad," they're at the stairs.
They're at
Yeah.
the stairs, already
And
grown up.
Yeah.
So there wasn't necessarily an emotional thing that triggered that growth, but the next time we see them, they bring the puppy in,
Yes.
and
in the bath or something, they're giving it a bath in the.
they're
Yeah.
giving the puppy a bath. And
Well, before we get there, though, right? There's a flip back to Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, there's a flip back to Monica,
Which very much seemed to be pushing her towards pushing the story towards she has powers now after being in the anomaly.
With the X-ray not show, it was like
Yep.
all brightly lit up. I think her
Yep.
character's name is Photon
Well, that
she's
was
had
her
a bunch
mom.
of she's had a
and
bunch of
Captain Marvel, but
yeah,
she's had a bunch of different names in the comics.
yeah. I mean, her mom, at least in the MCU right now, her mom was Photon.
okay.
It's her nickname, which her daughter could take
Her daughter could take
as an homage.
Yeah, so she certainly could have some powers now. You're right. Yeah, something happened to her in that anomaly.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens to a couple people.
Yeah,
in
which
this
we
show.
still haven't seen Beekeeper guy. Like he's
He's just,
Yeah, he's
kinda
probably
dropped
just
off.
somewhere else in the town.
yeah he's somewhere else in the town.
He'll come walking back out at the end if they like Close Encounters.
forgot
They all
me.
just come out. We've been in.
So, you know, one thing that the director said that I was kind of surprised about is how the number of people in this town. He mentioned like thousands of people.
Yes.
He said thousands plural in this
Well,
little town.
The sign says 3,000, doesn't it?
Oh, it
There's a
does. Okay,
sign.
I wasn't
Yeah.
even paying attention to that. That's a lot of people for her to be controlling, which
Yeah.
leads us to she doesn't think she's controlling everybody,
Yeah.
or at least that's what she verbally says.
That's
She
what she
seemed-
says.
She seems to be aware of it in some way, like Vision says towards the end of the episode. But
Yeah.
I actually do believe her when she says the three things she says, which are she doesn't know when this started, she didn't do the doorbell, and
Yeah.
what was the third thing? I'm trying to remember now. Oh, we can get back to it when we
Did
get
she
there.
ever say "I love you" 3,000 in it?
The wrong movie.
So, you know, Monica spouting off a bunch of, you know, scientific stuff of what she will need to get back into the anomaly, sort of spouting it off to Darcy because Darcy probably understands it. You know, a way to protect whatever vehicle she's in so she can get back in there.
Director Hayward, let's not forget.
He's a jerk, by the way.
Which off air we called.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
Anyway,
But the interesting discovery was how her clothing from when she was in the episode took on the same mechanics of what she was wearing. So
Kevlar.
it's Kevlar.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
actually-
what she was wearing when she went in.
I like that aspect of
I do too.
the way
I think-
she's changing things. It still retains the stuff that it was before, but it takes on a new look.
right.
Yeah.
Which they kind of did that with like the helicopter. Kind of, I mean, in a way, I guess it's still a drone, even though it looked kind of like a toy. And
I imagine
Yeah,
it doesn't
that
work.
part I didn't follow.
Yeah.
Like, why the helicopter flying back in? Did y'all? And then it was like, how could they get that drone in? I just didn't follow that.
It was an 80s drone.
yeah,
That's what they spent that scene discussing, was that if they had something from the 80s,
right.
they could send it in
Okay.
and it wouldn't change.
Yeah, that's
makes
why
sense.
like the technology
don't
didn't look
change.
that great. Basically, it looked very 80s looking technology when they were watching the monitor of it flying in. That was a pretty big scene because she pretty much immediately felt something breach the hex and went outside pretty quick with her kids.
Yes.
So it makes me wonder if she knows when something breaches that hex.
Yeah, and before that happened, the kids had a talk about They asked about Wanda's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was big.
That was an important line because she didn't tell them he was dead. She said,
far away.
Yeah, he's far away. I wrote it down somewhere, but oh yeah,
in the multiverse, he's far away in the multiverse.
I do. He's far away from here, and that makes me sad sometimes.
Interesting. Huh.
That's after they had grown again, right? Didn't they grow?
That was after they grew again, so they could get the
3
puppy.
to 10 or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I figured that they grew that first time because they were sad about Vision telling them they couldn't have the puppy until they were 10.
They did.
And so they were like, okay, well, we'll just grow up to be 10.
Yep.
And then, that way we get the puppy.
Yep. And the puppy is from a comic. It's from Tom King's Vision, which is a little 12-part comic. I never read it. I know who Tom King is. I've read some of his comics. He did some really interesting things with Wally West, which I will never forgive. But but it's a cute nod to the comics. In the comics, it's a robot dog. In this, it's a real dog.
Yeah.
I don't expect to see him come back as a robot dog. I think he's probably just dead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's probably because that was, teaching them a life lesson.
It was about Wanda's rule, which was she can't raise the dead.
She can't raise the
dead.
Which
she is getting around because technically Vision isn't a human life, I guess.
Right.
Oh, and we didn't even mention that. She broke into the facility.
Yes.
There was videotape of her breaking into the facility, taking Vision's body.
Right.
That is a great scene. We don't see everything, and I think there's probably more to that story than what we're being told.
Yeah, no, totally, and I think that director knows more about this than he's letting on.
I think he's a minor antagonist that's gonna, something in the story. He knows something that we don't.
Director Hayward.
Yeah,
Director Hayward.
Yeah, he's just a.
I mean, because he obviously knew that he obviously knew that she came after the disassembled body. Thank you. That's a good way of putting it, Brian.
Yeah,
the disassembled body of Vision. She came in at whose behest, though? I don't know. What we don't know is if she was doing that on her own free will or if somebody was commanding her to do that. We don't know all that.
I have a question.
We don't know this girl from Sokovia. Who knows what she's...
Well, that's
Is she really an Avenger? Did she just sort of...
She doesn't have a code name, so...
That was funny. That part was really funny. No other code name at all? Nothing? No other code name.
I have a question. If someone breaks the Sokovia Accords, which Jacob just mentioned,
the
UN is going to go and send who after her?
I guess in this case, Sword. I mean, I guess that's why Sword exists.
They don't really seem to be that effective.
No.
Strategic weapons, no, they're not with their little guns.
No, I mean, they don't have... What's interesting is they don't have any superheroes working for them, or they didn't until now. Monica is one, but
that's a great point from Jacob. Sword she found out the Sword was going to use Vision's body as a weapon and try to stop it. If you remember Captain America, the first Avenger, that's what the Nazis wanted to use, was the cosmic cube to build weapons, harness the power from that, and Captain America stopped them. In the Avengers, they were going to again use that cosmic cube, but this time it was S.H.I.E.L.D., the good guys, that were going to use it for weapons, but it also made you feel kind of conflicted about it. And now we've got Sword potentially, that's a theory I like from Jacob, doing the same thing with Vision's body.
So you think that they were trying to...
Because they did say they were weaponizing protect, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's still got a little bit of Ultron in him, I guess, doesn't he? I mean,
He's got a lot of cool parts, I'm sure.
yeah.
He's a very
Well, it's mainly Jarvis, but
Yeah, mainly Jarvis, but I think Ultron.
Wanda. That's how he says it. Wanda.
Yeah.
Sentient weapons. Sword.
Exactly.
Sword.
Sword.
To make it.
Sword.
And I think to one point when she reassembled Vision's body, there's still something in there that's like, whatever they've done to it. I mean, he's obviously working outside of Wanda's plan. So he's got some kind of.
There is something else up with Vision that that will be revealed.
Yeah.
I have some questions about how she's revived him, because without the Mind Stone, I think there is a possibility to revive him. But are they saying that her powers through the connection of the Mind Stone have been able to breathe life into him, or is it something else? And I feel like if he was connected,
that's what I was about to say. I mean, Suri, we don't know how far Suri really got. Like, Suri could have gotten a lot further than we thought.
If they didn't get attacked.
Oh, that's very true.
Oh,
so maybe this is some Wakanda stuff that Suri was able to do to get him, to a point where maybe he could live without that stone. Maybe there's enough of that left. Who knows? I mean,
so there's an interesting scene in his workplace, Vision's workplace, where I think that's the next scene, actually. And there's a message on the computer that pops up.
They're installing their Commodore 64.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And their dial-up email, this new email.
Yeah.
And this message comes from Darcy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what exactly it said.
Tell me you wrote that down, right?
There's a Nerdist or something scrolling, right?
I didn't, but it pretty much just says that reporting from the Maximov anomaly that there's high amounts of radiation. They don't know how it's affecting. They don't know how it's affecting the residents yet.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Vision is able to do something. I mean, that's what's interesting. I mean, he's revived to the point where he still has some powers.
Yes.
Without having to have the stone.
And they glow yellow when he zaps the guy.
Yeah. So he sort of snaps Norm out of whatever, mind control that he's in.
Yes.
And he is in panic mode, basically.
Yeah. I got to call my wife. I got to call my father.
Yep. He is essentially in panic mode.
And I think a very key line that we're going to get to, which he says, "She's in my head."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the question is, who's the she?
Her stop. So it's clearly a female.
Sure.
But
so
I don't think he's talking about Wanda.
Yeah, could be Agnes.
That's why Agnes comes to my mind.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, it very well. I mean, because we know he never, for very specific reasons. Obviously, he doesn't say who. I mean, they're not ready for the audience to know that yet.
Got too many episodes left.
Yeah, there's too many episodes left. Which this one, I didn't realize it, but this one was a little bit longer. This one was 38 minutes long, so they're getting a little bit longer each episode. So yeah, I'm liking this theory of Agnes, which, I mean, I think before the show even started, that theory was out there that she was. Everybody knew that she was Harkness, but
I'll just go ahead and put my theory out there.
Yeah, do it.
Just so we're here. I think, like Marvel does a lot, that Agnes is probably Agatha Harkness, but also an amalgamation of some other villain in the in the Marvel universe. There have been a lot of rumors that Nightmare was going to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2, and that it was going to be played by a female. I would not be surprised if they've combined those characters and made a villain out of her, and will continue into Doctor Strange 2. That's my theory.
Yeah, essentially, this is a prequel to Doctor Strange 2.
This and Spider-Man.
In a lot of ways. I think that, which we'll have to wait several years, but in a lot of ways, this is that prequel to Doctor Strange 2.
Not as far away as you think. It's technically 2022. We'll see if they never have to delay again, but...
they continue to film things, so...
Guys, let's take a commercial break. If you have a spill... Why not use Lagos?
Lagos.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
help clean up your messes.
Yeah.
So I
so-
finally put the pieces together. Dormammu.
Dormammu.
When you
yeah,
make a
yeah.
mess, you didn't
come
mean to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now that puts all of the commercials in perspective, because the first one was like Ultron, right?
Well,
Mhm.
yeah. It's trauma. It's her trauma.
From Stark. And it's
Yeah.
all her trauma. And
That's
and then obviously Hydra. What else have we got? Anyway, Lagos is what happened.
Lagos is the most recent one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kids lose the dog comes and eats the hydrangeas, dies.
yeah.
And it's interesting, Agnes was right there with the dog when that happened.
I can't remember the actual plant name, but it was
It was a hydrangea. Those are poisonous, I think.
Oh, were they?
To dogs. I think hydrangeas are poisonous to
Azaleas.
dogs. I was close.
Well,
Whatever.
first the dog runs away, right? They can't find the dog.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the mailman has a great line when they're searching for him, which was, "Don't worry, he's sure to turn up. Your mom won't let him get far."
This is interesting. Jedi Schwa, who, if you're familiar with RetroZap, he's part of the RetroZap family. The commercial products also being representations of each Infinity Stone.
Interesting.
That's interesting. I like that.
I would like to know which ones go with which.
Obviously the watch would be the Time Stone.
Yes.
What
would the toaster be?
I think it's more about her trauma.
I do
don't
too.
know if I'll buy this.
It could be. Yeah.
But I would like to see Schwa put I haven't seen his theory. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, I'll have to go check it out. It's probably in the comic book section. There's like an MCU section, I think, in the Discord. So that's a way we can plug Discord, which we don't do enough on here. I mean, the RetroZap Discord's actually really cool to be able to talk through all this stuff. And Schwa's a huge comic book fan and has read a lot of those comic books and probably has some good theories.
Looks like
look. Toaster is power. All right. So what would this most recent one be then?
Roth just said it looks like the Aether, whatever.
Okay.
From Thor Dark World.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe it's both things. Maybe it's the trauma and representing the stones. So the bathtub, what would the soap be?
The water stone.
The what?
The soul stone.
The soul stone. Exactly. Cleaning your soul. It's the
Yeah.
soul
I don't know.
I could
I
agree
don't buy
with
that. I don't buy that.
Well, I could agree with Roth that this last commercial was the reality stone, which is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because it's when you make a mess you don't want to, and you can clean it up.
You can clean it up.
But
yeah.
I haven't seen any connections to the others that convince me.
Yeah, here you go. Here, this is pretty good. I mean, toaster. Well, I think the toaster's more.
Did the soap really look like the Tesseract? That was.
Yeah, it's a box.
I don't know about all this.
The toaster looked like the Mind Stone. Oh, okay. Interesting. I'll have to go back and watch.
It was like blinking in the center.
That's
yeah, I think that was more representative of Stark's bomb.
Oh, okay.
But that's my personal theory. Which killed her parents.
It could be all this stuff. It could be everything. I love it.
Which we got a name for her parents in this episode. Irina, I think, and Oleg, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't have a name for her. We had comic names, but those are not the comic names.
Those are definitely not the comic names.
And we also got a birth date, which we didn't have before. And it's 1989, which is Elizabeth Olsen's birth year as well.
Okay.
So makes sense.
Yeah, interesting. Well, yeah, a lot of times they play younger,
soap.
but
It's just soap. But it's mind wash soap.
That's right. That's interesting.
What's now? Oh, so aren't they going out to look for the dog? And say the thing, Ryfin, again about the what the postmaster says.
He says, "Don't worry, he's sure to turn up. Your mom won't let him get far."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when does the drone show up? I thought,
the drone showed up before that.
The drone showed up, and we get
she
that.
Breaches her.
She breaches, and she's mad.
Yes.
She's ticked off. Which, I mean, we get to see that a lot in this series so far.
She's got her accent back.
Yeah, she's got her accent back.
I noticed that. I was like, wait a minute.
Off. she throws that thing back at him like it was no big deal. Yeah, and basically has all of the mind controls all of the guards to point at the director.
Yeah,
and I mean,
at that point, you don't really. I mean, you feel bad for the director at that point, who's being made to be a bad guy at the same time.
Yeah,
because there's kind of two antagonists there. Again, I think Wanda's kind of a minor antagonist as well.
Yeah,
who's kind of perpetuating some of this stuff.
And I love that scene though, where they pull up with all the guns and cars and the lights. There's something very Spielbergian about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks very Amblin. It's all very Amblin.
Yeah, very Amblin.
Okay, guys.
But that was a great scene, and I loved the fact that she had the accent back. And I thought, oh, just a little bit, like she had lost some, but it was just enough to say, hey, still here.
And she had her modern costume on when she stepped out of the bubble.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
The Westview anomaly.
The hex.
And so Monica talks to her, right? She says, look,
well, she's trying to talk her down. I mean, she's like, doing what any negotiator would try and do and try and talk.
I'm an
down.
ally. I'm here to help you.
Yeah, Rhett makes a good point. It's not Amblin because they were holding actual guns, not walkie-talkies. I think they've switched that back now. I think
they did.
The recent versions have the guns back.
Yep.
Did they really? Good.
He's talking about E.T., by the way.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention.
Spoiler alert.
So she laser pointers. She basically is telling them to stay out, which, or else, that type of thing, very threatening.
Yeah.
But when she walks back into the hex, are we supposed to get the sense that the hex is now more powerful?
Well, that's the thing. I think they left that ambiguous on purpose. Because if she did that, we're going to find out in another episode when they try to crash through it.
Yeah.
Which they're going to try to do.
Which we've seen that in a preview. Yeah.
Yeah. If not, then it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
So it was just her opening it.
It's just her opening it. Yeah, exactly. So we've seen that, and now we're going back to where they're finding the dog has passed away from eating the azaleas, not the hydrangeas. It's a big difference there. Very important distinction.
Vision walks up with a. Well, actually, no. Sorry, that was in another scene with the kids. Never mind. I was just gonna say he had a newspaper when they were discussing the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And when he folded it, it had the letters HOM visible on the newspaper. A lot of people speculating. HOM, House of M. A lot of people are speculating that's what it was. And they've done that a couple times where they folded newspapers and it said something else when they folded it.
Very
perceptive there. Recast,
very
right?
Easter egg.
I found that on a website. I didn't find that myself. So.
Okay, we've got a question from Roth here. The TV signal is going out.
I'm trying to pinpoint.
He's talking about that Monica's watching.
Okay.
The signal keeps going out.
Does it? I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice that.
I don't remember that.
Well, I mean, we know that they're only allowing people, the civilians on the outside of the hex, to see what they want to see. I mean, they're skipping stuff all around.
Why is the signal going out in the universe? See, she's creating CMBR. I don't know. It's a plot device, so that we can get people.
I need to change that cathode ray tube.
Yeah,
in their device.
Very well could be. Yeah, it's part of that scientific.
Or maybe it's a signal from Wanda calling for help.
Could be
from the villain. But the problem is she stepped out of the bubble this time, so she could have gotten help. But
so Dead Dog.
I think that she's having a hard time controlling Vision, obviously.
Yeah.
But he also says very specifically, "You've never been able to control me," or he says something along those lines.
I've never seen you mad before. Well, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but
yeah, if we want to get into that last fantastic final scene.
The dog thing, and she specifically tells the kids not to grow up. So
right,
she does not have any control over the kids growing up, I don't think.
No.
I think they're doing it on
She
their
couldn't
own.
control the kids at the beginning of the episode. They showed you that on purpose.
The kids
she
are
tried to
really
make
fair too, by the way.
When she tried to make them go to sleep, that she couldn't control them.
Yeah, she has no power over these kids.
Which I think is going to become a dangerous subplot for her.
Yes, I think so too. I think we're going to see some interesting things with those kids as they grow up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything more important with Agnes. I mean, she's kind of still center of the episode because she's the one that found the dog. And I think that's pretty much it with Agnes. We didn't see really anything more from her after that dog scene, I don't think.
Yeah, we didn't. We thought we might have when the doorbell rang because that's typically her entrance.
So Vision shows up and he's like, "What's going on here?" Like,
yes, he
comes
really
out and just says it. Yeah.
Yeah. She starts the credits. She's like,
yes.
I love that. Like,
she's like, and he's like, what? You just want to go watch TV and go to bed? Like everything's all right?
And you'll change the house tomorrow. He even says that.
She obviously doesn't want to have any confrontation with him about this, and she's unable to control him anymore. I think he's done being.
Yeah.
Although we've still got them dressed in the Halloween costume, so
no, I think. Look, we've gotten video of him trying to break out of the anomaly.
Right.
I think that probably happens next week.
You think that's
at the rate we're going?
Yeah.
I think he's putting on the costume, sort of just. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out.
Oh, maybe he's putting on the costume so the people around him aren't freaked out by the fact that he's Vision.
Which, if we want to get into something really quickly in this final scene,
yeah, go ahead.
They have a whole conversation. Vision says that he can't remember his life before Westview and that he's scared because of that. I'm sure we'll get an answer to that, why he doesn't remember. But the really important line was that he says there are no other children in Westview.
Yeah.
But here's what we do know, if you've watched the trailers. The Halloween episode has children all over the place.
Right.
So,
she's going to make some children.
This universe, it's been.
They're going to fix
that question has now been answered for Vision. There are children all over the place trick or treating now in Westview. So,
do you think that's just to throw him off, though?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's either Agnes or whomever, or it could even be Wanda trying to throw him off and make him feel more normal again, that he's seeing kids everywhere, just to try and get him back on the path of not questioning everything that's happening. But as they're having that fight, obviously the doorbell rings and she's trying to plead her case to Vision, saying, I had nothing to do with that doorbell. I'm not trying to interrupt this conversation. Because it seems so convenient because
so interesting that comes right at that moment.
Well, going back, the doghouse scene when Agnes brought the doghouse in.
Yes,
he says, "Oh, somebody brings a doghouse in exactly when we need a doghouse to be brought in."
Yes, he said, but that's one of his beginning of his suspicious lines.
Yeah,
but at the beginning of the episode, I think she says "help," like literally the word "help," and Agnes busts in after she says that.
Yeah.
Just like that.
I need some help. And
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Agnes always seems to be, she's very nosy. She really always seems to know what they need and want.
I saw through the window that you got a puppy.
I believe Wanda when she says that she didn't cause the doorbell to ring.
Yeah,
she didn't bring.
She was.
I agree with this one.
She was totally surprised.
So all right. So we see the back of his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they purposefully. I know a lot of people, because I watched some reactions to it. A lot of people picked out that was Evan Peters based on the you could see the leather jacket.
Sure. Yeah.
But the back of his head was purposely made to look like the other.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
So you're guessing like.
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
So I mean, I think one major thing that when she was talking about her rules, the audience probably should have picked up on the fact that there's no way that could have been the Aaron Taylor Johnson Pietro, because the rules were clearly stated that she cannot resurrect the dead.
Yeah. Or that she may have the ability to, but she's not going to do that.
She's not going to do that, right?
We don't know the consequences of that either.
And so her being very surprised, and of course, one of the best lines in the show comes where Darcy's like, they recast
Pietro?
That was so good.
But there's some other people saying that maybe this isn't Pietro at all.
So I'll address that. And
okay.
Yeah, help me with this one, because there's some people saying he's not going to be Pietro at all.
This has just been my theory for a bit. So when he initially when news broke in January of 2020 that he was filming for the show, a lot of people thought Quicksilver or Mephisto, because Mephisto rumors were swirling around that time. The problem to me with Mephisto being his specific character, I don't mind another character being Mephisto. The problem to me is, why would he disguise himself as a Pietro that Wanda doesn't even know?
Right.
To then pull the switch on her and say, actually, I'm Mephisto. I feel like if they wanted to do that twist, they could have pulled Aaron Taylor Johnson in to play Quicksilver and do the twist. Because, Aaron Taylor Johnson would have come back to play that small role.
Dude has nothing else to do. You're right. I mean, totally.
Except for Tenet. But,
well, yeah.
But he's a very tiny part of Tenet, so.
Well, and I think one sort of indication to me that this is not the villain is because he breached to come in. He breached the hex to come in.
Yeah, well, I think so. They never said it, but
yeah.
I sent you that.
We heard the sirens, though.
I sent Mikey this message. Every time we hear those sirens, it's been a breach of the hex.
Yeah.
It's been a breach of the perimeter at the city.
Was there sirens?
Yes. So I think he got pulled in,
right,
into that world by somebody. I think Agnes or the main villain, whoever it is, to distract Wanda and Vision because they're having a huge fight.
I've heard rumors he might be Nightmare too.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
I think because they had to pull him in from somewhere, which we're just assuming because the sirens were going off in the camp as if there was a breach that occurred. They had to pull him in from somewhere. You would think they had to pull him from the multiverse.
Well, the really interesting thing was I was listening to the episode with the audio description on. And the way they describe sorry, this has just been racking my brain for a little bit. The way they describe how that whole scene goes down, first off, they say he's the Pietro from the X-Men films.
They actually say that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, where? Who says that?
The audio description. The for deaf people, or sorry, blind people, not deaf.
Oh.
But secondly, when Darcy approaches the desk, it says that she's not going to it to look at the screen. She's going to it to grab her notebook, and then notices that the episode that Wanda's got a shocked look on her face.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think someone did breach the perimeter, and that they were going out there to go check on the perimeter. That's my theory. And then Darcy saw what happened and saw Pietro was recast, and now we're at where we are.
They recast Pietro?
That's really interesting that the audio description specifically, and I guess that makes sense just from a real world perspective.
Well, you have to know who it is.
They have to tell the viewer in that sense.
The visually impaired.
Yeah, they have to describe it as the Pietro from X-Men.
Even if he does pull a twist, which I hope not, because I would love to see this be the beginning of the multiverse of madness.
I would too, and that's when I would love that to be the fact that they had to pull that character from the multiverse.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. But it would also be awesome too if it was a twist and he's a villain or something. I mean, I'm all for it. It starts off really loud. Okay, they're saying dumb stuff in the chat. Okay, so
I'll have to go back and listen for the siren. I just did not hear that.
Yeah. There was distinctly the breach siren, the same exact sound that they used when
Wanda came out.
When Wanda came out of the hex.
And when Monica came out too, I'm sure.
Yeah, same sound. So yeah, I mean, her mind is obviously blown, but more importantly, like to your point, Ryfin, it distracts from the fight that was occurring. It pretty much brings that to a dead halt because this new character has come into play.
Let me also address this in the comments. So Elizabeth Olsen was misquoted a lot by the media this past week.
Yeah.
Did not say there was a Luke Skywalker moment. Someone asked her if there was. They specifically asked her if there was a cameo that hadn't leaked yet, and she was surprised it hadn't leaked. And then the people, when she said yes, the people took it and then made a headline that said it was a Luke Skywalker moment in the show.
Yeah, so this could be the biggest cameo, but I still think we've got another one coming.
I think Doctor Strange at the end of the show.
Yeah,
that's my.
Oh wow, he's calling the shot
at the very end.
Yeah,
at the very end,
he's calling it.
Yeah, for the just up Doctor Strange 2. That would make sense. Or we get to find out
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
or we get to find out who the aerospace engineer is that Monica was trying to reach.
Ooh. I think he'll be there sooner rather than later. Oh well, I guess that could always be the big thing, but I feel like the big thing is going to be a final thing. You get what I'm saying? If there was a big thing,
if there was one,
it's a little early for them to have cast the FF, isn't it? But who knows?
I think that I think from the way that they should set it up, they should cast the FF before they even start messing with mutants.
You want my take on how they should introduce them? You should introduce them in Ant-Man 3 under Peyton Reed, and combine the Phantom Zone and the Quantum Realm and make them the same thing. But that's what I've been holding on to.
What that one's called Quantumania or something like that?
Yeah. And the bad guy's Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, so, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
That will be very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'd hate for them to wait that long. I felt like this was a hint to Reed Richards, but maybe I'm off. I mean, I don't know. I would love it. That well, I mean, if
who else would it be? I wonder.
Oh wait, sorry, I didn't mean. I never want to give Rhett any time. I meant to choose this. Professor X or Magneto. Yeah, if they were gonna.
I guess the problem with Professor X, well, I guess they have to exist because they're going to come into the universe at some point. So maybe. Dazzler.
I don't know that she was ever an aerospace engineer.
Dazzler.
I think she was a rock star. I don't think she ever went there.
Squirrel right. Girl. There's a chance.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Any other notes before we wrap this thing up?
There's some things I could go over. There have been, obviously I talked about in the featurette, they've had a picture of Wonder Man behind, the chick who's running the show.
We still got Wonder Man out there.
When will he come in to the show, and is he already in the show? We don't know it. I know in the comics he has some sort of connection to Vision. Is he helping fuel Vision in some way? I don't know.
Maybe it's Director Hayward is Wonder Man.
Well, I don't know that they'll go there because Wonder Man's supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I'm wondering
nothing better than shutting down threats to our American. If Wanda's a terrorist, we got to shut her down.
Yeah,
that's right. We got to shut her down.
I'm wondering if Wanda didn't make a deal with Agnes in some way, kind of like people have thought she made a deal with Mephisto, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah, those are kind of my final.
Tied up in Wanda's basement.
Yeah. Well, one important program note, and I haven't told you this yet, Earl, but for next week we're going to have to hold this off until Wednesday.
Okay.
So Wednesday night, 9:30 or so, we will talk about episode 6. So that'll give you guys a good long while to rewatch episode 6 as often as you choose to rewatch it.
It's going to be a hot one.
And then it's going to be a big one. And then we will reconvene for the Deucecast Extra on the following Wednesday instead of Monday.
We need to get Mike Zero on this podcast.
Rhett is basically Mike Zero. Yeah, that's Rhett's alter ego is Mike Zero. So yeah, it'll be good though. Watch the episode a lot because I'm sure it's going to be a good one. And appreciate you guys as always in the live chat, and anybody that watches this later on. Please feel free to comment, and I will try and catch your comments on the back end. But the main thing with YouTube, you gotta subscribe, like, hit the bell, share the episode, mash the button. I don't know, all those things the kids say. Ryfin, thanks so much. Any parting shots? Anything you want to throw out in the last minute here?
No. I think I've said my piece so far. But thank you for having me on.
Rhett. YouTube, I will let you know. Please flag this individual.
Shadow ban Rhett.
Yeah, shadow ban. Yeah, like, subscribe, and report Rhett. Aerospace Engineer Earl, thank you so much as always for joining the Deucecast Extra.
I'm waiting for my call, Monica. Just let me know.
Yeah, we've got some big stuff coming up on the Deucecast Extra in the Yellowstone universe.
Yeah.
Forget the MCU.
I was actually going to ask you guys about that off the show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look, I'm making Earl subscribe to the Paramount Plus network so we can do.
No, yeah. I can't. Do
awesome.
it, dude.
Sarah, thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining.
Oh, hey, good. Thank you.
Y1883, which is probably the clunkiest name for a television show ever, but I will be watching. Maybe we can get Roth in on that one, because I don't think Ryfin's interested in adding Yellowstone to his oeuvre.
Well, look, I watched some Taylor Sheridan. Is that his name? I watched some Taylor Sheridan the other night. So maybe
he's awesome.
Yeah,
he's very good.
It's sort of a soap opera show, but it's
a
good.
Man soap opera.
It's manly soap operas.
Look, this young man who doesn't think you can afford Paramount Plus is offering his login for you, Earl.
I'm not being fooled. It's still CBS Access behind it.
Well, it's CBS All Access, and it's switching to Paramount Plus on March 5th. That's basically
You're idiot.
Exactly. All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Thanks, Jacob.
So much, guys. I hope everybody has a great night, and we will see you next Wednesday for episode 6 of WandaVision.